I'm a graduate and a product of two systems of education. One is the formal one that we know. The other one is the traditional one. I was born into it, grew, fed on it, dreamt it, slept it. My father always told us as we went to school that when you go to school is an opportunity for you to practice what you have known in the value system. Therefore, success for me and my siblings was the natural result. Upon graduation, my mother had her input. She told me, when you go to the school where you have been posted, work well with your hosts and for your hosts so that you pay back for the air that you breathe. The BA with education in me straightened, and I looked at her and declared, air is free. She retorted back and said, if that be the case, stay here with me and share mine. I was beaten hands down. When I took up my job as a teacher, I worked with the 3H, the hands, the heart, and the head. And through, within 3 years of posting, the school realized a 3.5 digit improvement in academics. But that's not all. Reports began to come out that the graduates, my students at home, were posting a very good character. But how did this happen? 2 words: inclusiveness, so that you are not leaving any gray corners. You look around for your students, the quiet, the loud-spoken, the argumentative. Number 2, innovation. And the point at which one should start is with the teacher. I got the teachers together and I told them that your image is crucial and critical. Your image, which entails your attitude and your input. And once they got it, I then told them that as you teach, there is something called social banking. It will spring up. And I think when Jen was speaking, I looked and felt very rejuvenated. Social banking. And so, the inclusiveness, as I have said, you make sure you innovate various ways in which you can tap the quiet, I repeat, the argumentative. For example, this one student who is always asking questions and arguing, what one needs to do is call them and say, look, you are now going to be in charge of a section of our debating. You're the one who will be gathering topics and getting people to argue, and that it does it. So that you have a lot of room. I'm talking about room. In that way, you don't waste anybody. There is nobody who is discarded, the way we saw some food being thrown. For my first school on innovation, standing on 3.5 acres, majority of the parts being stony, we did something unique. You see, innovation goes with the uniqueness. Between the gate and the parade, 200 meters. We had no field. So we will run on that. And it didn't take long before we produced a girl for All Africa Games. Before we produced a girl for Commonwealth. And I'm not done. Even Olympic. And you see, I've not been to to Egypt. I have not been to Australia where they went. But you see, when they come back, then I'm reborn. And so when I was done with teaching, I had a rare opportunity to be appointed a commissioner with Teacher Service Commission. I was now looking at the teacher from the education in Kenya from the employer's point of view. But I was keen to innovate, to curb the wastage in interdictions, suspension, dismissal, deregistration. And so I went to the chairman and I said, you see, for me, I'm normally very itchy. I would like us to innovate. She said, which one? I said, can we start a small department where we can always get the newly recruited teachers and we just proactively talk to them so that they aren't getting out into interdictions. And he said, that's okay if you're willing. That gave me a chance to tour the whole of the country. And so I looked at education system from even every part of the country. So when I left the TSC, I determined to do two things. One, to write my story, the story of values that had made a difference. The story of values that had come up to be called the Were magic. Put Were in a school and it will turn around. So I wanted to write it down. But lo and behold, something happened in this country, the post-election violence. And the credo that had held the nation together crumpled. One, religion had been a very sure credo for nationalism. But you and I know that religion cringed in front of the heat that was there, greater than the tsunami. The second one that had held us together was intermarriage. And we all know that ladies were hunted down like hunting a hound and told you belong to a tribe that should not be here. We had also had hope in the youth. And the youth were the ones barricading roads. It was difficult. So it changed my life. And I said, there is something that has not been done in this country. We've never given education the right place in nationalism. Because one of the goals is to create nationalism. So I said, fine, I will start a school that instead of school rules and regulations, instead of prefects, we'll do the values. We live them, not practice. So all I did was introduce and coach and release the power of the values. Somebody asked me, how did it all happen? I just asked the students, the teachers, the workers, what don't you like about Kenya? You know, when you put it that way, then ideas flow. And because you know you're talking about Kenya, you have forgotten is you, so the least. And what do you think we need to do? Needs to be done. You should not say we. Needs to be done. If this was done, so what ails Kenya? And our core values. Now remember, of late in every school there are values. But what enjoys the values is the wall. And so, as an individual, a student, a teacher, a worker, you look at what ails you. I also have what ails me. You download one of those. It's a private affair. Then you begin to grow it, to live it. As a unit, it could be a group discussion. It could be a subject. It could be a school, a class. It could be a house. What ails you? For example, my Form 4s this year discovered that they were very mean. They could not share. So they picked sharing. And you know when you pick it, you tell the whole assembly of the family of Butere High School. And when you have announced it, so we watch you. In any case, in a traditional dance, you watch the leader, isn't it? If the leader does this, you also do this, isn't it? So you lead us. And I have come to discover the truth about one proverb in my language. I'm told that when a rabbit grows old as I am, a white one here, it nourishes itself by suckling its offsprings. Once the value system caught up, I have been nourished. Number one, for 4 years that school has existed, unlike the Were Magic, which in 3 years there was a digital improvement in performance of 3.5, both in Butere girls and Lugulu girls. In this school, in 3 years, 5.5 improvement. Number two, the element of innovation. It is great. It creates room. For example, in 2002, the then Form 2 girl who did exams this year, Kathy Ongare, she came to me and said, of late I've been watching, and this ailment called dishonesty is too great. Children are pinching. So what we do, I propose we start a Samaritan bank. I sat back. You know, the old rabbit is now feeding on the young. I sat back and said, how is it? She said, what we do at the beginning of term, each one of us comes with some necessities like sanitary oils and soap and so on, and we just bank. And whoever runs out of it goes and withdraws. You and I know that nobody steals from themselves. And if you know that is yours, you don't need it to steal, do you? And so, what came to my mind was, but there are some students who will always come to withdraw. It has never happened. And that is how the value system has grown. This girl, when she said that, the teacher said, we are part and parcel of the values. We are going to also give money to run it. The girl walks around and she says, I am the founder and the CEO of the Samaritan Bank, Kenya. But that's not the story. Just hold on, just hold your peace. I am not done. You know, this girl was not performing well. But believe you me, if there are any A's that are coming, although it will not be ranked, she's got it. Because value system creates confidence, image. It creates an inner energy. But that's not all. This term, a top Form 2 girl came to my office and said, you know, Mwalimu, our class is normally last when we do the academics. And even on the weekly integrity review that goes on in the school. So I have found something. I said, which one? She said, Linda told me what we do is that I am going to coach the class in maths. The teacher will come and teach. And I will coach them. I will test them. I will release the results. I said, fine. So be it. And when she did that, then the fire caught up. The others said, I will do physics. I will do chemistry. And the other classes caught up. So I asked her, why are you doing this? She told me 3 things. One, I want to grow my value of responsibility, appreciation of human beings. I want to grow my value of sharing, and the list was endless. And then she said, I want to motivate the teacher. You can be sure the issue of a strike doesn't come in, isn't it? And on top of that, she also said, being at the top and being alone is not good. I want many girls to be with me. That class, just hold on. That class, within one term, improved by an index of 1.6. And the integrity review weekly improved. On 4th, I had visitors, 4th of October. A Form 1 girl came to the office and said, Madam, I know you've given us areas to perform, but I want to give a presentation. My poem, I've written it. It's called Transformation. I said, okay, fine. And can you talk to me about it? There was one line that caught my mind. And this girl was saying, I am the greatest because I am the first to forgive. I'm the first to apologize. 2 weeks later, her father rang me and said, my daughter is transformed. My firstborn is rescued. I thought I had lost her. Then is when I realized that these girls have conceived a baby called the Kenya we want. They are pregnant. They are 4 weeks, 4 months pregnant. Then my mind went to Kenya before independence. The pre-colonial, just before independence, we had that video. Before independence, something happened. And it is epitomized in the decisions and the words. Those who are pregnant of the Kenya, they were expecting. As that flag went up, the girls are pregnant. And it was epitomized by the words of 3 gentlemen. Johnston Kamau, lying on a dirty, thin, ragged rag in a Kampenguria floor. When he was told, denounce Mau Mau, and we will make you the leader, he declined. You and I know the Kenya we have would have gone on the knees and spoken in tongues and said, God, you have given it to me, isn't it? But that's not all. They went to Adonija, Ajuma, and they told him, for you now. You know about that. They told him, if you denounce Kenyatta, you will be the first prime minister. He said, fine, I can be the first prime minister, but what will I do with his people? The 3rd gentleman who conceived this baby called Kenya is Canon Jeremiah Awori, a canon of the Anglican Church. In 1959, upon the visit of the governor of the colony, visiting Kakamega, the governor was the representative of the Queen, and the Queen is the head of the Church of England, which is Anglican, was asked to pray. He stepped forward, closed his eyes, and one line went, God, help the Britons to realize you gave us Kenya like you gave them Britain, and they should leave us in peace. What do you think the governor said? Amen, isn't it? Or you want to tell me that at the height of emergency, Awori was arrested? No, he wasn't. He was praying. So we conceived the Kenya we want. But we were not careful. Because that baby, we miscarried. We miscarried, and in its place, an evil child called familiar faces, our time to eat. And today that baby, I want to declare to you, is called playing by the goal, not the ball. Presently, what we are doing, we are simply moving a goal to a place and saying, that goal is ours, even when the enemy has shot in. You have heard statements like, oh, that is a democratic process. The Constitution says that. Inclusion has gone through the window. Innovation has gone through the window. Empathy has gone through the window. And so when we aborted the first conception, ladies and gentlemen, an evil child was born, I've told you, familiar faces, in decision-making organs. And this evil child has grown and gave birth to a son called corruption. And the two of them drive around in Kenya in an armored car called impunity. But where will you take us? But again, Kenya attempted to conceive again. The early part of NAC, we conceived. And we could look at an OCS and say, that is tribalism, isn't it? But little did we know that the original evil child called tribalism and the son called corruption, they had solidified. They kicked us hard and we aborted. And from that time, the only time that Kenya has been conceived is in that school called Butere High School. The earlier conceptions did not last long. Miscarriage came earlier. But this one has lasted for years. We are beginning to get some little children popping out. And that's why we receive reports from homes. A parent asks, what have you done with my child? My child never appreciated anybody, never reconciled with anybody. This evil child with the son driving in the impunity vehicle has a guillotine in front, mowing down good governance. It has mowed down all commissions that we have started. And if you argue about it, Agenda 4, reconciliation, it has taken so many years, we have not reconciled. And so, in Butere High School, apart from putting education in the right perspective to work for Kenya, we have taken the war to the headquarters of this evil child, the mindset. We have taken it to the most productive part of the population, the young people. We are harnessing the God-given energies, and they are innovating, and they are working for each other. Every class has a sharing table. So all we need to do is continue making this child more pregnant, and more children will come out. And then soon, if we all agree, we can make others also become pregnant, including the boys' schools. God bless you.